The first type of collection that we're going to take a look at here is the list collection or the list type. Now, like we spoke about earlier, there are a few different types of collections that we can work with, but what it really narrows down to is a collection is it's a collection of data or an array. Now, there's different types because they serve different purposes, they have different benefits, and so on, and we'll take a look at a few of them, but the first one we'll look at here is the list collection. So take a look. Open in front of you, I've got my command prompt or my command line open. I've got my Python command line, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new list type. So my first step is I'm going to create a variable. I'm just going to be really generic about this. I'm going to call it my list. All right, there we have it. Now I'm going to make that equal to, I'm going to give it the assignment operator here, and I'm going to make it equal to this list or collection of data. Now I'm going to use square brackets here. I'm going to open a square bracket, and I'm going to fill this full of a bunch of string values. So I'm going to do some colors here. I'll do red, green, and so on. All right, let's just do 3 there. And I'll close that square bracket. So now each of these values is going to be contained within this variable called my list. Okay? Each of the colors, red, green, and blue, they're in quotes because they're string values. And I've got them separated by a comma. I'm going to go ahead and hit my enter key. All right, so I've now created that new variable of list type. Let's see, let's do a print. Let's bring in a type, and I'm going to find the type of my new variable called my list. I'll hit my enter key, and there it is. It's of type class list. And if I want to print that out, I'll say print, and I want to print out my list. And there it is. Red, green, blue. So it's that simple. We can take a collection of data and we can store it off into a single object, in this type of list object, inside of our variable, and it holds all of those values. Now you might be asking yourself, well, that's great. We can store those values, and perhaps I'm thinking we're going to use that later, but how would I then gain access to individual values within that list? Maybe I just want to pull out green, or I just want to pull out blue, or whatever it is. Right now they're contained inside of that one list all together. Well, we spoke a little bit about arrays earlier, and just understanding what an array is, again, it's just a collection of data. We need to be able to grab a single value from that array. Take a look. I'm going to print out my list, but I want to be able to grab a specific value from that list. So once again, I'm going to bring in the square brackets, and I'm going to grab a value from that list. Now, list types, they're arrays, which within Python are zero-based, meaning that the first element within that list is in the 0 position. So if I do this, I want to get green from my list. All right, there's green right there. So if these were 0-based, red would be in the 0 position, right? There's my 0. Green would be in the 1st position, and blue would be in the number 2 position. Okay? I should call that the number 1 position. So if I want to grab green, I say print my list, open square brackets. I'm going to put a 1 in there. I'm going to close the bracket, close my parentheses, and when I hit my enter key, I've got my green, or the element in the number 1 position. Okay? So it's a collection of data, got my list object there, store all that data in there, and then I'm able to retrieve the values that I want based on their position or their index. In this case, just a numeric value that represents where it's at within that collection. So this is your list object. There's more that I want to talk about. The next video, we're going to get into some list methods, or methods that come along with the list type. But before we do that, get a little practice creating a list. Try it out. You can do colors like I did here, do names, do fruits or vegetables, or whatever you want to do there, cars, whatever you want to do. Create a list, throw a bunch of stuff in there, and then get in there and access elements within that list. Remember, it's 0-based, so the first element within that list is in the 0 position. Try it out.